I've been holding off making this video. We had 1320 come by the shop here at DDX about a month and a half ago. And I know I haven't had a video up in a long time. It's been almost 2 months. I'm due for a garage update. So since 1320 hasn't posted their video yet, I'm gonna get this one up. And so this is the garage update for December. It's the 26th of 2021. We'll start here with this 08 GT500. I'm actually not sure if this car was in the last update or not. So we'll have some redundancy, but regardless, this car in particular is one of my favorites. I bought it for my wife, and it's been, probably 5 or 6, 7 years now. It's an 08. It had 640 miles when I bought it back in, I think, 2012, 2013, something like that. And the guy who had owned it before had done a bunch of upgrades. It's got a carbon King of the Road hood. It's got aftermarket wheels. It's got a bunch of other bolt-on mods done. But just a nice looking car, understated without stripes on it. It came with blue stripes originally. Carbon trunk lid with the Shelby logo on the back. Again, just a nice looking car all around. Next to it, we probably had this one in the last video. This is my 93 with a flat tire, of course. My 93 Cobra. Let me get out of the pillars. So it's a 93 teal Cobra, and I forget the name of the paint. I believe it's teal metallic. And yes, I've got a flat tire that I will fix. It's got it's in really good shape. It's got 60,000 miles, but it came from the previous owner in good shape. It's got a few scratches here and there, but not bad at all. If we open it up, the interior is going to be dark, but it's got a really nice interior. And I know it's probably a crappy view without any light in there, but the interior came out really good. It's one of the few with leather on the inside, which again, I didn't care either way, but it was nice to have the leather. Walking down, this one I know is new. This one I've got a few months ago, and this is a 1993 GMC Typhoon. And so these cars back in the day in 93, actually in the early 90s in general, when I was in high school, these cars were something to beat. So this and its brother, the Cyclone, which was the S10 pickup, were all-wheel drive V6 turbo cars. And sorry, I've got to weasel around between the pillars here, but there's a view of the engine bay. Again, a little bit dark. Let's see if I can lighten it at all. Nope. But again, a stout car for what they were. And, specs, again, off the top of my head, I can't remember. But I always remember them being hilariously stout when put against the Mustangs and Camaros and Corvettes of the day. And they were just a sleeper. I mean, like a little compact, Trackhawk, Trailblazer SS before those things even existed. So I've added a bunch actually since the last video. I think this one may have been in the last video. This is my 2012 Carlisle Blue 1 of 11 C6 ZR1. And I've got all the hoods open here so we can see under the hoods. And it's a completely stock setup. But just a beautiful car, a very rare, actually the rarest color ZR1. It's got the nicer interior, or nicer is subjective. But again, the C6 ZR1s in general are just monsters, and I got an affinity for them, obviously. But again, a weird, oddball, light blue, baby blue color on a C6 ZR1. Good looking car. Next to it is one of the JSB twins, the Jet Stream Blue twins, those multi-thousand horsepower set of cars that I'm building. This is the Z06. The ZR1 is actually about to be assembled. All the parts are in for it. So Z06 is here with its aftermarket motor, but the motor I bought with it still inside, and it's awaiting its day to be built. This car has got not no interior, but it's got no seats for right now. It's got my oil box seats and then nothing else on the inside. I've got some seats that are on the way. They should be here in the next week or so. But this, again, is my 08 C6 Z06. Next to it, I got this car in December, almost a year ago, exactly. This is the Supersonic Blue 2011 C6 ZR1. And again, a super cool color. And if I forget to say it, if you look down this row, we've got Carlisle, we've got Jet Stream, we've got Supersonic, and then I'll show the last one. These are the 4 blues that were available on the C6 ZR1. So my Z06 is kind of standing standing as a replacement for the ZR1 that I've got. That's Jet Stream Blue. But anyways, back to the Supersonic. So again, light mods here, largely stock, but some light mods. I think it's got a shifter and some other random bolt-ons. But again, 2011 C6 ZR1 and Supersonic Blue. Now, next to it, I know this one is new because I just got it about 2 months ago. This is a 1 of 54 2013 Night Race Blue ZR1. And they just made these in 13. And it's just a great looking color and a great looking wheel tire setup, and it's a great looking car all around. Again, on the rarer side of the C6 ZR1s. I've done nothing to this car yet, and as you can see, I've still got all the stuff from the previous owner in there, and it's got, while it's hard to see, it's got blue stitching on the dash and the seats, which was an option, which I did not know, actually. And it just turned out super nice in general. This is a slick-looking car. I'll see if I can get a legit side shot here. Just a good setup for a C6 in general. In front of that is the C6 ZR1. That's my original, my first C6 ZR1, 2010 Cybergram Metallic. The one that we modified some more. This one is obviously not stock. We're at 1100-ish wheel horsepower. Dynoed it on nitrous about 4 months ago, and it put down almost 1400 wheel. Next to it is my twin turbo, I believe it's an 2009 C6 Z06. And this again is a well set up car. This one's got the aftermarket Caravaggio seats, and these seats will be going in the Jet Stream Blue twins also. But again, heavily modified, twin turbo setup, built by Vengeance Racing. And this car we need to do some tuning work on because it's got so much power. We're having issues with traction. But it's a Pro EFI car, so hopefully we can get it putting the power down and have some more fun. My son's been driving this at these streetcar takeover events and the half-mile events. And it's something to handle for sure. Next to this, yet another C6 ZR1. This is the Inferno Orange, and they made 60-something, 63 of these or so. This is a 13 Inferno Orange, 1 of 7 for that year. And again, just a sharp-looking orange in general. Let's see if I can get up and get some underhood shots. This car is also completely stock, so not much special there under the hood. Interior-wise, very clean. I believe it's got 6,000 or 7,000 miles on this car, and a really good example all around. And this image right here of these two orange cars, I was waiting to get for a long, long time. The one car next to this Inferno Orange is the Atomic Orange ZR1. They made 35 of these cars, and only 35, and this is the first car I ever saw in person in this color. You see them a lot on Z06s, but only 35 ZR1s. So I found this car, again, about 2 months ago when I bought that Night Race Blue, and it is not the best example, but I'm going to make it, look like it should, to be honest. It's seen better days. Interior-wise, it's an 09, so it's got the worst of the interiors, and these cars are notorious for having dash issues, and this one does, and I'll show you what that means. The dash starts to pull up, and you can see it bubble there on the Corvette, and even on the above on the Corvette there, and even on the top of the dash a little bit, it's bubbling, so we got to fix that. And then it's just dirty. It's got 26,000 miles, I think, which is not a ton, but it's seen a lot of modifications, it's seen a lot of racing, and it just needs some TLC. So again, heavily modified, not in the way I would have done it, but to each their own. But it's here now, and we're going to probably put it back to stock and make it look nice again. But again, 2009 Atomic Orange, 2013 Inferno Orange. And again, I'll back up so you can see both together. Just a cool shot, in my opinion, of the only two oranges they ever made in the C6 ZR1 line. And again, behind them is the only 4 they made for the ZR1s. And that's a bit of a lie. They actually made a one of one Le Mans Blue ZR1, which I'm actually thinking about recreating, to be honest. Let's see. Next up, we've got our 2004 Mysitichrome Cobra. And this car I thought I overpaid for when I bought it originally. 2 years ago. And since then, obviously the market has gone insane on these cars, and it was a really good buy. But this one is largely stock. It's got aftermarket exhaust, but besides that, it's just a great looking Mysitichrome. I always love these cars. And the paint, I mean, I'll walk around it for a second because the paint is what sells this car. Just a very, very cool setup. Next to it, we've got our 2002 Lamborghini Murcielago. And this for sure was in the last video. But again, also a very, very good looking car all around. Just low, like pancake. I swear, you get behind this thing if you're driving behind it, and it just looks ridiculously wide. This again is an 02, and all the 02s had the gated shifter. They were all manuals. This was before the E-gear. And another like tidbit here on this car, if you'll notice, I'm not sure you can see it or not, but the seats are actually tilted toward the center of the car. So they're each canted, the driver's seat to the right and the passenger to the left. And I swear it makes me park this thing sideways without even thinking about it. So I'll get out thinking I have it square, and I'll be completely cockeyed because I'm a dummy. So next to this, we've got my 1999 BMW 750iL. And I went coilovers on this car because given the age of the shocks, they were just, they were spent, they were falling apart. And so I went through this car and fixed a couple things that were off when I got it, largely just because of its age. But the new wheel and tire setup I like a lot. And it's funny because it happened to be the exact same setup that was on that Night Race Blue ZR1. Not the same size and dimensions, but the same spoke pattern, which is kind of funny. But this car I have been driving a lot, and it's just such a cruiser. You can just roll in this thing, and it's smooth and it's quiet. I did a video on this car and showed a lot of the quirks. It's got double pane glass, again, just to make it quieter. And it's got a built-in phone. You can see through the, well, I'll just open the door. You can see it's built-in phone, just in case you have to make a call, you know, when you're driving. And this car was a low-mile car, too, only 30,000 miles-ish on this car. And again, a solid cruiser. For those who don't know, it's a 5.4-liter V12. And I always thought that was cool about these cars. You know, these big, huge, I say huge, these big physical motors, or these V12s, built just to cruise the Autobahn at whatever, $120. And it can do it. And it's a fun car to drive. Behind me here is my 07 Trailblazer SS, supercharged and sprayed. And it's been gone through both for performance and for car stereo purposes. And again, Trailblazers are a love of mine. This car's got 47,000 miles. It's an 07. It's just in great shape. The paint looks really good, and it just drives too. And I built this car to be a Trackhawk competitor. And then I, of course, because I'm an idiot, I go and add a whole bunch of weight to the back by pumping up the stereo and reliving some high school dreams that I had. You know, don't we all? Again, the Typhoon, you know, was the original, but this was a close second, coming, you know, a decade and a half later. But a great looking car nonetheless. Let's go back because I missed the upper deck over here. So on the top left, and I know I'm not going to do it justice, I'll zoom in a bit here. I've got my 1996 Black Cherry Impala SS. But I haven't driven this much. I want to, but we're in Michigan and it sucks right now, so I haven't got a chance much. That's why it's up there covered. Next to it, we've got the C4 ZR1. Let's see if I can skinny through here. So again, another high school style car here. And this car is in really good shape too. It's got only 3,000-ish miles on it. I know I'm doing a shitty job getting you any views of it. But this is a 1991 C4 ZR1. It's got the aluminum LT5 of its day, put down around 400 horsepower at the crank, which was like amazing for the time. And you know, cleanliness wise, this one's just in great shape, super clean. I've driven it some, but not enough, to be honest. Next to that, we've got our we've got our supercharged Trailblazer project, and this one I've got the motor done for, but not in yet, and it's still kind of sitting here. My son has had his way with the wheels and has been swapping them in and out for his own Trailblazer. But this is an 08, I believe, Trailblazer SS. Was once a drag car, was a turbo drag car. So you can see the evidence still of its drag racing days. It was about 1,000 horsepower when it was drag racing. He's got a battery mount in the back here and suspension for drag, and he's seen a burnout or two. All right, meandering back up to the front. There's another new addition up here. We've got this 1986 Lincoln Mark VII. And the back tire was flat, so I've got it jacked up right now just to not have the tire be crushed while I get the issue checked out. But this car, my dad had a couple of these cars, and my first ever ticket in a couple firsts in this car. One, my first ever getting pulled over in 1991 or 1990 was in this car. And not this exact car, but my dad's rendition. He was never the guy to have the cool version, which this is. He had some champagne or some blue, some older person blue color back in the 90s. Anyways, first time getting pulled over with one of these cars, because they do have, for those who don't know, they are a Fox body. And they actually come with a 5.0, the Fox body motor of the day, and it's essentially, a Mustang motor in a Lincoln body. And so anyways, the other first in here was first car I ever wrecked. I was doing a left turn and got, my fault, smashed into. Lots of other firsts in this car. It was kind of my car I got to take out when I got my license. And thankfully my dad trusted me to drive it, even though I did wreck it and get pulled over. He still let me drive it. But just a cool car because it was kind of like the CTS-V of the day. It was meant to be powerful and comfortable, and the seats in this car are just amazing to me. I mean, it's a 1986 car, and you don't see bolsters, on cars of the day, to be honest. Let's sit in this car for a second too. Analog gauges. They had one with a digital dash, and it had a computer, which I thought was hilarious. For 1986, it was a big deal. You could set your climate control, which again was a big deal for back then, and in general was a cool car for the time. But black on black on black, and this is how it came from the factory, and it's just a cool all-around car. If anybody wants more info on these cars too, I can do deeper dives, and so if I'm being too quick about this stuff, by all means, let me know. Here is my 1,000 wheel horsepower CTS-V. I did a whole video on this about 2 months ago where I declared it done, and I believe it's still done. So we've got a full CT performance build in this car, aluminum 427 with a 2.6 blower, and whole stereo system done. Interior has been gone through. Sit in this one for a second too. This one also a manual. And I was looking for a non-black, non-automatic when I found this car. Carbon accents as well. And then the aftermarket stereo with a 2 6.5s in each door from High Voltage Car Audio in Alabama. Did a fantastic job. Oh, next up we've got my F450. And this is what we pull all these cars around with largely. And it's been doing a good job. I've had some issues with it that were my own fault, and had to get them repaired. I had a trailer mishap, and there's my old tailgate from the trailer mishap. The yellow ZR1 here is not mine, it's a buddy of mine, so I'm gonna skip it for the time being. So there are 2 cars or 3 cars missing. 4, there's 4 cars missing from the garage right now. We've got my wife's 2014 Shelby GT500, that 800 wheel. I think I did a video on that too. I bought a salvage title cyber gray ZR1. It's a 2010. that I'm thinking about painting Le Mans blue, and that would like make it so I had all the blue colors on the ZR1s. If you think it's a great idea, say something in the comments. If you think it's a terrible idea, say something in the comments too. We're also missing, I bought a opulent blue metallic CTS-V, which is like the best CTS-V color. It's a Gen 2 CTS-V 2012, I believe, but it is absolutely the best color. It was a buddy of mine's, and it is like the deepest blue you have ever seen. I'll put a picture up while I'm blabbering here. And then the final one we're missing is my Jet Stream Blue ZR1, the twin to that car right there. The collection is about 25 cars right now. And it continues to grow, which is good and bad. As you can tell from last time, there's a space constraint here in the shop, and I may move shops. I may stop buying. I'm not going to sell because I like these things too much. This year, I'm looking, or 2022, I'm looking to get another Typhoon. They had a teal color, which was super cool in the Typhoon land. I wouldn't mind having a Cyclone also, a 91 Cyclone. They only made them in 91, and that's the S10 version of the Typhoon. Beyond that, I'm out of space, so I'm not looking to add a lot right now. I'm looking to drive and enjoy and have folks over and, just to enjoy the cars with people and have a good time in general. Thanks for watching to the end, you guys. If you want more car content from DDX Auto, by all means, like, subscribe, and all that BS. And catch us on Instagram, too, at DDX Auto.